Hello, good morning. Mark Donegan, self healing practitioner and educator, ordained minister, aka Goldilocks. I just say that every time I get up in front of public at the supervisors meeting, which is interesting because nobody knows why I do what I do, and I'm not sure I do what I do there. But it's all a matter of public record. Um, yeah, supervisors, you can say what you want for 3 minutes. I saw somebody reading out of the Bible once, and I decided I was going to go up and preach my Bible. And I'm getting on here for a check-in because my grandson Nolan loves it when I talk about and say his name, but I haven't even gotten to talk about Nolan yet. Nolan's like the most awesome little creature. He's not my only grandson. Let's see, where am I at? Now I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he's not the youngest, but close to. But he's from my youngest daughter, who I have a special connection with because I had to fight so hard for her. And she made herself into something incredible. And it's an old story that not many people know, but I want Nolan to know. The day that her mother was conceived was the day I quit methamphetamine. So she was genetically born that way, and her mother never quit and breastfed her. She knows all about that. She dealt with that. We dealt with that. Talk about ADHD or all that bullshit. Chanel conquered all that like it was walking through water. Um, so, yeah, Nolan, uh, your mom was really special to me. So, yeah, I didn't know it at the time. All I knew was I was going to change my life, and uh, I made that decision that day. And then I looked back after your mom was born, and I went, "Holy shit! That was the day that I quit. It was the day she conceived." Um, so yeah, that was a turnaround in my life. And then of course when you came, that was what she needed for her, and then I needed for me at the time because to be honest, I was, I am very fatalistic, but at that time I was really looking at some bad stuff. And um, everyone knows I have a living will. It's in my backpack. It's in all the hospitals, all that kind of deal. But in the meantime, I got this heck of battle that I live and will always live. And I've seen, I think, 5 neurosurgeons now, 2 in the last week. And they're coming down to 2 kind of opinions for me. Um, one leaning towards a minor surgery that might help and will leave my spine unstable, but it could resolve my worst symptoms. It will leave me all the rest, um, which, yeah, I've always known. Then the other one is to relieve a lot of the symptom, and that's basically, I call them railroad tracks up the spine. That is, to reconstruct my lower spine. So that's the other theory of thought right now. And I'm currently waiting to go to UCSF to see their spine reconstructionist specialist, which was my idea and my pain doctor's idea going in. We thought we had that doctor. And we now know we don't have that doctor. We got doctors that think they can go in and do something minor. And I blew out a minor surgery, and that's how I ended up paralyzed. And I told that doctor right to his face that. And I've told many people since. I wake up and those symptoms aren't gone, or it breaks and I'm taking care of myself, then I'm going to be really upset because then I'll have to have the railroad tracks up the back. That's just a reality. And that's a kind of deal where I've done this before. You get them put in, you get a new pain, which is the bolts and braces. And they hurt like hell, but you've got to get scar tissue over them by movement. And if you don't do that, you just take meds and sit. It just gets worse. And yeah, it's not a good thing. And that's why I told that doc, and that's the other thing I said, was I've recovered from everything you guys have thrown at me. And, and you're seeing me talking here, like, no freaking fear, unless they sever my dang spinal cord. But, I've been reading a lot of MRIs lately with different doctors, and my spine is incredibly unstable. People talk about herniated disc and stenosis and arthritis and those types of things. I have that at every level of my spine. It cannot be fixed. That's my reality. I have to keep coming back into because nobody else has to do that. Very few, unless you're missing limbs. And yeah, I have numbness tingling up through my neck, shoulders, and arms, and that can't be resolved to my knowledge. We've looked at that all we can look at it. And I mean, it literally feels like I'm crushed behind my chest and the middle back. If I screw up and I work it too much, it gets like a burn in there. Just don't come out until I get on the balls and just get pressure on there for a long time. So I guess I'll wind up at that, in all this limbo, hell, twice. I didn't think my emotional spirit could handle it, but my program is so strong. And for my body and for my mind, I'm doing my Alexis, life coach work, self-care. Taking baths and naps and rests and setting up good food, that type of stuff. Just taking really good care of myself, best of my ability, considering I can't frickin' eat. It's a painful SOB down there, and every time I put something in, it just does not agree. It's very interesting. But at the same time, I've got such a distinct clarity of my pain and where it's broken in my spine on the left side. Today, because it's a big rainstorm, that's why I'm proud I went out in it to do my thing. But I normally would just lay here and just try to breathe through the pain and stretch through that stuff. Because, low pressure and you swell up. That's just a natural fact. Doing good with my workouts. Not pushing them too hard. Just trying to stay in surgery prep mode. Noticed recently that my cardio was gone to shit because I was walking. Last year I was walking 5 miles a day. So most days, not every day, that's for sure, but 3-4 days a week, I was doing 5 miles. 2 miles easy. I was walking it off. Can't hardly make 2 blocks right now. It's been that way for a couple. It went really quick. It was just the last couple months. Like 3 months ago, I noticed. 3 months ago, the walking stopped and kept going on the bike for another month, 6 weeks. Had to stop the bike a couple weeks ago. Just slams the spine around and get all kinds of swollen. Come home and go into shock. And then, have to go to the freaking hospital if I don't have pain meds. And it's not just me, pain meds. That's the other thing. I want to throw with medication because I was going to talk about that. Now that I'm on pain meds, especially, and I just talked to my GP, and you can't take them all the time. You got to savor them, and then not only that, you've got to have at least 6. I used to hate that idea, but most of mine are non-narcotic now, and I didn't used to even take those. I didn't think they worked, but they work if you know how to use them and what they work for. And an example is I have 3 different medications for my stomach. Only one is a narcotic. So I have the other 2 I can use to relieve spasms at different parts of my stomach. It's like all these medications go to different places that I'm using because I'm using clean medication. I'm not using antidepressants. And that got dumped on me a couple times because when you have severe spinal shocks and spasms, antidepressants, I admit, they'll take those away. But at the same time, it takes my brain away, and I'm not going to go there. And like an opiate, I take so little, like once a day at the most, and it'll clear. Same with the Valium and the promethazine, which are my only other 2 narcotics, and I only one every 3 days at the most. And that's what, that's the way I've been doing that for about 5-6 years since I came off opiates. It was interesting today at the supervisors meeting. The social workers were getting up there for their appreciation month, and I've had so much help from social workers, and and to be there was so cool because that is the end result of success of their job. Every social worker that I work with, I'm their star pupil. regardless of my physical state, they are the ones that come and help when I figure out what I need. And I I like working with them and they're fun. Now, I used to think they were a pain in the ass, but I like all my workers. And so, yeah, that's about it. Oh, and yeah, did I mention? Okay, I'm still waiting to go to UCSF, see the spinal reconstructionist, and I'll just throw in the end. Then I'm leaning that I don't agree with it, but I think it's a prudent way to go. Is the small surgery, just like an hour and a half, walk out same day maybe, next morning for sure. 6 weeks recovery. Do that first, and then the railroad track guy, I'm getting him lined up in case it goes south. Then I'll just fire this guy and go to USF. And again, I told this guy before because I probably should have sued Dr. Sheets, and he knew Dr. Sheets. Dr. Sheets did the first two bad surgeries on me. He did like this guy. I'll come in, cut off a little of your disc. What that did was it destabilized my spine, and I popped it within 6 weeks. It was a full herniation at that point. Started out bulging, you know, common thing. Back then, I was freaked out like everybody else. I probably just should have worked through it. Now looking back and everything I know. But yeah, that first surgery, once you get it, and then once you cut into that disc, it will tend to herniate again. So that's what happened. He cut on my disc, it herniated worse. Then he talked me into a partial fusion. And I didn't know about shit like that then. And so he went in and he took out all of my disc and he put in, or maybe he took left a little, but he put in, main thing was he put a bone graft to fuse me partially, not fully. And my body rejected it from cigarette smoking, he says. He's got a legitimate thing there because they're still throwing at my face the nicotine. Nicotine directly kills, well, it doesn't kill it, but it just rids your body of calcium. It'll draw calcium from your bones. So I've always known that. That's part of my own battle. But considering where I'm at, I'll take that battle. So, yeah, they do the little one, and again, if it goes wrong, then we go and do the whole thing. But what I'm thinking is, when I do the little one, I'm pretty certain that I'm going to still have my sciatica and all that stuff, and that's okay. As long as it don't frickin' break. So yeah, after the first surgery, when he destabilized it, second one he did a fusion, and they said my graft material disappeared. That's all I know. I'm kind of lame at it, and especially at that point. And all I know is when I looked at the MRI, there was nothing fucking there. And so Dr. Sheet said he could fuse that and do another 15, surgeries on my back, and it probably wouldn't be much better. And I went, shit. And that's when I went and got another doctor. And I was in body jacket for 2 years and went partially paralyzed. Left leg fully, right leg partially, organs somewhat. It wasn't fun. And that's when I got Dr. Sutro, now retired, has dementia, but still remembers me because I'm only survivor of that surgery. 6 people had it. 5 people had it before me. 4 died before when I talked to them, were already dead. And there was a 5th one hanging, and he went a couple of years into it because by the time I came back 2 years later to have 4 bolts and 2 braces removed, that guy was gone. And Dr. Sutro saw me curl up on all 4 bolt heads on the hard floor, and he said, yeah, you're good to go. We could take those out. Thankful for that. Everybody wonders why I did that. I got those railroad tracks. I'd have railroad tracks already there. But my fusion was solid. The reason was, and I didn't even quit smoking with Dr. Sutro. He used some kind of fancy new graft material at the time, which is what they've used since on me when they know. They've got a graft material that works better for smokers. And so I have a solid fusion down there at L45. And I still have a 2.5-inch bolt toe-nailed into the front. Those vertebrae will never move, just like he said. So they were going to fuse right above there. That's what I was lined up for surgery for. Now the surgeon's called a halt for that, saying they need surgery for sure 2 levels above that. I agree with that. When you got a 6 millimeter bulge, I mean, when you're freaking measuring a disc bulge in millimeters, that just freaks my mind out. Never seen it before. So that's what I'm sitting here with. In L45, one guy talked me into, and I kind of believe it. Looking at the MRI, the vertebrae themselves have got little dips on them, and the bottom one's got dips coming up. They're trying to fuse, so that's what you want when you get older. You want your vertebrae to fuse so that you're not using your pressure on that disc. You're not squishing the disc. And as long as your nerve roots are clear, then you're fine. And the worst you would have to do is a rotor drop, clear some bone away from your nerve roots. But as long as you have a fused vertebrae, that's what's important. And then another thing that causes me my pain that I'm fully aware of is when, and I've broken, it's like I told this surgeon, I've broken metal in my body. People understand the power of my movement, my yoga. I move everything. And so anything I do, I intend to move it. So the small surgeries leave me with a lot of ability, but great risk at blowing it out. In the big surgery course, once it's done, my life's altered. I'll never move those disc spaces again or those vertebrae. And we're talking about 3 for sure. The entire lower back in essence. And there's a good argument for that because I have a severe scoliosis that I didn't have like 10 years ago. It's because of this injury. And most scoliosis will encompass the whole spine in some way. And mine's only like 3 vertebrae, like they slid, and I know they're twisted. So the idea, like you did in my neck, of untwisting it and infusing it is very appealing. Worked great in my flipping neck. I mean, I got 4 fused up there, and they probably should have fused the other 2. I would have been fine with that lack of motion to not have the tinglies if that's what's causing them. But the tinglies could be very much down in the lower or upper thoracic. Because that pretty well crushed my entire body. And that was another, like, my very last thing. Look, remembering this morning at my MRIs and the discs and all that kind of stuff that we look at. When my spine, it's not just the disc. The vertebrae themselves, you can look at it, they're mushroomed. They're squished. They are crushed. And again, smoking doesn't help them stay together. So I quit smoking. There's a plus for me. Or the thing, the less I smoke, it helps my spine. So I have control in that sense. But then the other sense, I have no control. Those injuries are there. They're permanent. Scoliosis and all those things. Everything I do in my movement is about balancing my body back, about being in alignment. So I work on those things, not only focused in the morning and I'm doing some pretty good afternoon time, solid, but all day. I mean, when people saw me when they walked into the lobby at the supervisor's building, I mean, I was standing there doing stretches, man, and then folding over, my hands touching my feet, doing crisscrossities, and people were wandering by me. And it was kind of cool actually getting to know me. So that's it. Went and did my thing despite the misery of being in limbo and actually still trying to push forward a little. Definitely trying to keep my arms because I want to not have this numbness. Whatever it is, I want to keep my movement. I don't care if numb, hurt, whatever. Been talking a lot and talked to somebody this morning about moving your toes, your ankles, and your feet, and your hands being so important. Because think about it. If you go paralyzed and you have nerve compression all the way up and down every vertebrae space, you need to keep this stuff moving if that stuff can't. And then this stuff will bring movement to this stuff. Yeah, working a core is a very interesting thing. So that's about it. Peace out. Oh, love you, Nolan. I love that you get to hear your name. And these things are for you. You got a big body, bud. You got to learn how to work that thing, man. You make that thing get coordinated. You work on your coordination, your balance with your size, strength, and abilities. You can do anything you want. Just don't be showing off lifting up trees and shit. Because cramps tell you that ain't no fun. In the end, love you. Bye.